provide a tax break for companies who hire new workers, and it will cut payroll taxes in half.
President Obama proposes a slate of tax cuts he says will add to the economy. But many Republicans say he's looking in the wrong place if he wants to find ways to help small business.
It's small businesses saying, we wonder who's going to show up tomorrow at our doorstep and regulate us out of business.
Even as the president calls for an end to partisan politics, both parties are drawing the line. And a key player, Arizona Congressman Jeff Flake. As he runs for Senate, he says he is hearing firsthand what Arizona businesses need. And tonight, he's talking jobs, campaigns, and politics unplugged. Good evening, everyone. I'm Frank Camacho. This is Politics Unplugged. And just this past Thursday, President Barack Obama called for an end to partisan politics as he proposed a new jobs package. But while the president was focusing on tax cuts and infrastructure spending, Republicans say the best thing the government can do is get out of the way. That is just one of the things Arizona Congressman Jeff Flake is talking about. He sat down with me and Dennis Welch prior to the president's speech, and he is hoping now more than ever his ideas will find a following with Arizona voters. And we have Congressman Jeff Flake, U.S. Senate candidate Jeff Flake. And welcome, Mr. Flake.
Hey,
how are you?
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. First of all, how are things going on the campaign trail?
Well, great. It's been a long, hot August the last month, and we got to 13 of the 15 counties just in the summer months. So it's a statewide campaign. It's a big state, I'm remembering now. and not the most pleasant time to be in some of the counties in the heat, but it was a good month, the past month, and we're off to a great start.
And what's it like campaigning at this point, we're a year out? A lot of people know, the media always covers the campaign at the end when there's a lot of things going on. What's it like for a candidate like you?
Well, for a campaign like this, for a Senate campaign, a couple of things. I think everybody around the state respects John Kyle, and he's been just indispensable for Arizona on the rural issues in particular. When I get outside of Maricopa County, all the public lands issues, the forest health issues, the resource issues, and they want to make sure that whoever replaces him understands those issues. And so this far out doesn't matter. They just want to make sure on that. And then second, they know that the control of the Senate hangs in the balance. For Republicans, that means holding on to every Senate seat, every Republican Senate seat, and then picking up a net of 4. And with Democrats, holding 23 of the 33 Senate seats that are up around the country, it's very important. So even though it's a year out, people seem to understand the importance of it.
Okay, we talk about politics. You bring up the political aspect. The major issue facing this country right now seems to be the economy and jobs.
You bet.
And that's number one. You're hearing that on the campaign trail.
That's priorities 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I mean, it really is. And related to that, the fiscal situation that we're in, debt and deficit. And I think most people recognize that we're unlikely to grow the economy with this kind of anchor being dragged around in terms of the debt that we have, the deficit annually, and the regulatory burden. And that's what's been a surprise to me in terms of what I'm hearing out there. It's not, taxes are important. The uncertainty out there is really damaging, but it's a regulatory burden. It's small businesses saying, we wonder who's going to show up tomorrow at our doorstep and regulate us out of business, whether it's environmental regulations, whether it's financial regulations, healthcare, you name it. These agencies are just running amok, and I don't know how else to say it.
Is the White House, do you think they're becoming aware of that?
I think so, and the president's recent action to rein in the EPA, hopefully that signals a start. But if he's going to do that on ozone regulation, boy, he ought to do that on PM10 or the dust or particulate here in the valley, because that inhibits growth, and the municipalities and developers have to chase a standard that is ever evolving. and it's a killer in terms of economic growth. And so hopefully this signals a time when the president says, if we want economic growth, we've got to rein in these regulations.
And getting back a little bit more to jobs and creating jobs, you're running for Senate, your power, if elected, it's going to be amplified. You're going to have a bigger platform. Right. What can you do to bring jobs back specifically for Arizona?
Oh, overall, it's just to have the economy nationwide go north. I mean, we have an economy now that some speculate we're already in a double-dip recession, and it's very difficult to say, all right, we're going to fix the housing problem, and that's what has put Arizona in such bad shape more than anything. But you can't just fix the housing problem. We've created federal programs right and left, or not we, but the administration and Congress, some people in Congress, the HAMP program to help with the foreclosure issues. You can do specific programs like that all day long, and it's not going to help as long as you have an overall economy that's weak, and if people don't have jobs. And so what I can do is to help create a conducive regulatory and tax environment for the private sector to grow jobs. That if we look to government to pick winners and losers out there, whether it's government saying, all right, it's solar power today, it's ethanol, or whatever else, that's where we're going to put our investments and loans into, it never works. It just doesn't work.
But is the atmosphere currently in Washington conducive to trying and to successfully deal with this economy and with job creation?
I sure hope so. On the Republican side, and with the super committee meeting to deal with the debt and deficit issue and a way forward, I hope that that's their goal. I hope that they do the big deal, which includes lowering the overall rate, broadening the tax base, but at the same time taming this regulatory beast, because that is just killing us. And we've got to have a lower corporate tax rate unless we want to see our corporations continue to go overseas. It's free trade, it's regulatory reform, and it's some kind of certainty on the tax side too, because when people don't know what's there, it's really tough to plan and hire. And then in addition, Obamacare is just scaring the life out of businesses out there. And for a state like Arizona, when you look at 2014 and you look at what's coming down the road there in terms of costs to the state taxpayers, in terms of our maintenance of effort requirement, to businesses, whether they're going to have to bring people on or pay fines for not bringing people on, it's overwhelming. And it's no wonder that nobody is hiring out there with this kind of uncertainty.
Election year politics, that's going to complicate matters. How much is it going to complicate? I mean, especially since Americans are out of work and they don't give a hoot about what's going on in Washington. They want something, they want to go to work.
Election year politics may help, and the president's recent action, as we talked about, relieving some of the regulatory burden, just the tip of the iceberg, mind you, on the EPA. The president, if he wants to be reelected, is going to need to chart a centrist course. He's resisted that, or whenever he's made a head fake that way, he gets yanked right back by his base. And perhaps because it's an election year, because every first-term president wants a second term, it will cause him to actually come and meet in the middle. And that's what we've been missing.
Couldn't the same be said about the Republicans?
Bet. Sure. And that's where I think we'll see the super committee reach, I hope, a big deal that involves lowering overall tax rates, but broadening the base, getting rid of exemptions and deductions and credits and tax expenditures that some of us benefit from, some of the middle class benefits from. But if you're going to lower the overall rate, you've got to do that. And then on the left, it means also taking seriously this entitlement a problem that we have. And so far, the president's just been unwilling to put that on the table.
Sure, and speaking of the president again, we talked a little bit about this before we started taping. He'd scheduled a speech to talk about the economy and talk about getting the economy moving, but it happened to coincide with a debate for the Republican nomination for president. I mean, your thoughts on that? I mean, it caused some problems. It ended up with Speaker Boehner denying him that day, and they had to move it to a different day.
Right.
I just kind of get your general thoughts on that situation.
Let me just say at the outset, president is a president. I like him personally. I respect the office. Whenever he wants to come and speak to a joint session, I'm happy to be there and hear it. Having said that, I thought to schedule it at the precise time that you're having a GOP presidential debate, a little bit tacky. And I think that they could have done a little groundwork before that. So I'm glad they've reached, they reached a time that could accommodate everybody and went okay.
One last question. I'd like to return to what you were saying about the president and the administration trying to move more to the center. You also said the Republicans have to do that. As a candidate in a state where the Tea Party seems to be gaining a lot of momentum and all, Don't you have to walk a very fine line between where you're trying to bring more people toward the middle because of the best for overall, without alienating a lot of the base out there?
I think everyone recognizes that politics is the art of compromise, and you try not to betray your principles, but you know you'll never get everything you want in Washington. Believe me, you just don't. The frustration has been, particularly in the debt debate that we've had all through the summer, was that we couldn't get the administration. We put out our House-passed budget, the Ryan budget,
right,
which had that passed the Senate, had the president signed it, we wouldn't have had a downgrade. I mean, the agencies told us that, or the ratings agencies. But we just couldn't get the president to actually put a plan on the table that you could score. And so, we had our plan that the administration could carp at all day long, but they wouldn't put a plan over here that we could say, all right, let's meet somewhere in the middle. There was just no target on that side, and the president could simply carp away at ours. And so that's the difficulty, is if you're going to reach middle ground, you have to have something on both ends. And we haven't had the Senate, for example, 800 and something days since they passed a budget last. So it's been very difficult.
Okay, Congressman Flake, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. You have a lot on your table when you get on your plate when you get back to Washington.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.